I'm Greg Giuliano, and I'm a results leader.
You're listening to ResultsLeader.fm. Being a thought leader is easy. Getting results is hard. This show is for the results leader who lives and dies by their results. Here is your host and Chief Results Leader, Jonathan Rivera.
You are listening to the only show on the internet dedicated to results. This is it, boys and girls. Another episode of Results Leader is in your ear. Stoked that you guys are here with us. And we're going to deliver another amazing interview today. Mr. Greg Giulano is with us. He's a coach and advisor to Fortune leaders and senior teams, Amazon best-selling author. He's been featured in Entrepreneur magazine, and he is one of the top executive coaches on the planet. Let's jump in. All right, here we are. Greg, welcome to the show. Are you ready to rock this thing?
I am so ready, Jonathan. Let's go.
Man, this has been months in the making. I'm so glad that you're here. And let's give our listeners a super fast win. What book have you given most as a gift?
So I'm going to cheat. 2 books. One is I've been giving forever, since way back before you were born. The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho is a fantastic book. And I used to give it to kids all the time. And I still just love that book. And so just for personal reasons, I love that one. In the workplace, one of the books that I find myself giving to folks a lot and recommending a lot is a book by the amazing Marshall Goldsmith, What Got You Here Won't Get You There.
Let me tell you something. I am proud to be a part of your personal legend, sir. My wife is reading it right now. I put her onto it.
Right on.
Too good. I love that book. I love both those books, in fact. So let's go to story time now. I want you to think back, Greg, and tell us a story of how an apparent failure set you up for later success.
Yeah, I love this question. So when I think about the word failure, I go to what do I regret, right? There was something happened and there's a regret there. And I'm actually some more books, right? I'm reading Dan Pink's great new book, The Power of Regret, Marshall's new book, The Earned Life. And I think about failure through that lens. What's my biggest regret? And my biggest regret, I think, is that I spent a lot of time when I was younger wasting time being too timid or waiting for something to happen instead of taking action to shape a different normal. So, for example, when I finished my doctorate, I was sure I was headed to academia. And I was applying for positions and I couldn't get past the adjunct status. And I sat in that for too long. And not getting into academia opened up a path that was more engaging and more rewarding for me personally and professionally by getting me into, more fully into private practice as a therapist, and then jumping into executive coaching and leadership development. So that failure turned out to be an amazing learning for me personally about not waiting too long and not sitting in things. And it opened a path to the amazing life that I have now.
Now, there's a lot in that answer. And I feel like picking one little piece because it's been a recurring thing that we've heard from multiple guests. And you're the first person I think that has the status to be able to answer this. You said something about therapy and then going into coaching. How close are those two pieces related, being a coach and being a therapist?
Yeah, I mean, they're both trying to help people. And I think that sadly, there's a lot of coaches out there doing bad therapy without a license, because coaching is not therapy. Coaching is coaching. And for me, the differentiation is the starting point is a different place. People go to therapy because something is wrong. Healthy people go to therapy, by the way, right? They recognize something is wrong and they want to fix it. Coaching is not remedial. Coaching is, I'm doing pretty good. I want to do better. And a coach can help me accelerate into that better.
I just wanted to let that sit for a second. We got it. We got the answer because this has come up so many times and you were the first person actually qualified to answer it. So thank you for that. Now, let's talk about investments. What would you say is the most worthwhile investment that you have ever made?
A cup of coffee. I was just dabbling in executive coaching. I was still in private practice. and went and got a cup of coffee with a woman who was also a coach. And she was doing leadership development consulting as part of her portfolio. And that cup of coffee turned into an invitation to join her in some leadership development work. And within 2 years, I was the majority owner and CEO of that leadership development consulting company.
A cup of coffee got you there? A cup of coffee and a conversation.
Cup of coffee, conversation with a terrific woman. And so I think that the learning there for me, the best investments are always where you make time and space to meet people and learn things.
And that is powerful advice. And that's what, that's near and dear to my heart here at the Podcast Factory. So I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. Let's think back.
Yeah.
Over the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
Yeah, it's a lesson I have to remind myself all the time. And it's the acceptance that I am not for everyone. I've stopped trying. I am a change Sherpa. I work with people who want to change. If you want to change, let's go. You want to change yourself? Do you want to change your team? Do you want to change your organization? I'm your guy. I'm pretty direct. And if you don't want to do that, you should probably pick somebody else. And in the past 5 years, especially, I've made that a clear line in the sand. I refer lots of people who I just get the sense that, you know what, you do better with this friend of mine.
I want to play around a little bit. So we're living in a society that wants us to believe that everything needs to be inclusive. You got to include everybody. And I just heard you speak exclusive. And I happen to be a fan of exclusive. So how do you balance that in today's world?
Well, I guess it's being okay sometimes being a majority of one. I'm okay with, I don't have to be, I try to include everybody, but I don't expect everybody to include me.
There it is.
And that's hard because growing up, I was a middle kid and I wanted to be included in everything. I have a tremendous fear of missing out. So it's not that it's easy, no, but it works because when I violate my own rule around that, I end up working with somebody where they're not having a great time. I'm not having a great time. And so I don't do that anymore. I don't want to waste their time. I don't want to waste my time.
I like how you turn that into personal responsibility. It's okay if you don't like me. That's what I think we're missing in this world. Everybody wants to be included, but I think it's okay if you don't like me.
There are 7 billion people on this planet. There's got to be a handful who don't like me.
Yeah. I think there's probably more than a handful that don't like me, but that's a story for another show. All right, let's have some fun. Let's have a little bit of fun here. What are some bad recommendations you hear in your area of expertise?
Oh my gosh. Just do this fill in the blank training or assessment and everything will be awesome, right? Everything will be magically okay, that there's a silver bullet for you or your team. And here's where I get it. I'm pretty direct and I have a strong opinion. Most trainings, not all trainings, especially leadership training or team building, where it's, hey, come in and do 90 minutes or 2 hours, or most of that's just a waste of money because they become kind of like the consultants in there spinning plates or, juggling, and it becomes just a party trick. You do them and there's no follow-up. And people want it to be easy. And changing ourselves, helping a group of people to transform from being a group to being a high-performing team, that takes work and it takes follow-through and commitment. And so it's not, as much as it would be awesome for development to occur in that nice 3-hour session, it's just not reality. It takes time and it takes follow-through. Yeah, so that's my opinion.
What do you say to those consultants out there? Because I've certainly hired my share of consultants who have tried, and some of it has been successfully implemented, some not so much, but have tried to say, hey, you need this systems, processes, checklists, these boxes only, so that you can scale, so that you can deliver quality. But I hear you saying that, hey, it's not a one size fits all, and we have to really go towards that individual organization. So what do you say to those one size fits all people?
Good for you. But I think real transformation, it takes more than selling and opening a can of corn. I want to understand what's the business result that my client is trying to achieve. What's the experience that they want to create that is sustainable and replicable and scalable across their organization? And are they willing to go on that kind of a journey? Because that's going to take some time. That kind of transformation takes time. And do they want to do that work? And if they do, awesome. And if they don't, somebody will sell you a can of corn.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program for a public service announcement. We're going to get right back into this show, but I wanted to ask you a question. If you have been listening to the show for any amount of time and you've picked up even one single tip, then I need your help. Get the word out. Tell people about resultsleader.fm. Share it on social media. Share it on your email. Share it anywhere. Hashtag resultsleaderfm. Now let's jump back into the interview. All right, it's time to talk about results. Why do results matter, Greg?
Because we're growing. Our work as leaders is to transform things. We're transforming an organization. We're transforming a team. We're transforming individual people. We're helping them to transform. And so we're always thinking about a future state and our current state and closing the gap and moving towards that future state. So the result is, what is the future state that I want to experience and get to? And that's what we're here for. We're here to go on that kind of a journey and better ourselves and transform ourselves. So achieving results is in our DNA.
Think back over the last 5 years, what new realization has helped you get better results for your clients?
Yeah, so this ties back to what we were talking about a couple of minutes ago, is not wasting time and helping to shape that future state. So for me, the realization was that my clients get value not just when I do what would be called pure coaching, just asking questions all the time, but after a couple of questions and we're still kind of circling, just say, okay, look, here's what I would do, or here's what other leaders like you have done in this situation. So balancing inquiry and advocacy and making that realization that, yeah, that's something that after 20 plus years of doing this, I've earned the right to move past pure ask questions kind of coaching.
How do you figure that out? Because we've had a lot of coaches on this show that are advocates of the Socratic method and asking for questions and letting these guys come to their own conclusions. But you're almost giving them a shortcut. It feels like you know them better, though. That might be part of it. But how do you balance that asking questions versus the advocacy?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the relationship with the client. I mean, a lot of my clients, I've been working with them for a number of years. But even with newer clients, after a couple of questions, if we're still kind of swirling, that's where I would ask permission. Hey, I can share with you what other leaders in your situation have done. I'm very cognizant of the fact that it's easy for me as a coach to offer a suggestion or advice. I don't have the responsibility for the decision. They do. So I want to be clear with them. I'm not going to own the consequences of this choice. So it's really easy for me to tell you, oh, here's what I would do. It's only a, $10 million decision. Go ahead, just go for it. Right. So I don't want to be flippant with them. So I want to ask permissions like, hey, let's look at some options together. I'll throw some out, you'll throw some out, and then you can decide when you think about the assumptions that underlie each one and the implications of each one, what's the best thing for you to do? Because again, you own the decision, not me. So how can I help you make that best decision? Sometimes it's just not asking questions. Sometimes it's, okay, well, let's brainstorm together.
Now, the other part of that is a lot of people would say when we help them by asking them the questions, they own their decisions. How do they own the advice that you give them as much as they would own their own decision?
Sure, because they don't have to take any advice that I give them, right? Advice, I'm going to say some things. You don't have to believe any of them, right? And I tell, when I'm working with leaders and teams, I always make that caveat at the front. It's like, I'm going to say a lot of things and it's my truth. And my truth has a small t, not a capital T. It's not the truth. It's just my truth. So you don't have to believe a word I say. I will be okay if I leave here and you don't believe any of things I say. I'll be okay. So you still own the decision, but what kind of a conversation do we need to have, do you want to have, so that at the end of the decision, at the end of the conversation, you can make the best decision possible.
It's interesting because I'm just thinking back in my experience with consultants, and I can see it now. And I think that's why I always get along with people who've been in business longer. But because of that little bit, like I'm thinking specifically about someone who is helping us implement traction and letting us answer our own questions. And we got to a certain place and we got stuck. He could never make a suggestion till he brought the big boss in. And that guy's been in business 30 years. And he says one thing and we're like, why couldn't this guy tell us that? Well, I mean, why did we have to struggle? Yeah. And so there's that advantage.
Yeah, maybe he's like afraid or not. Oh, it's not my place. And that's what you're there for. You're there to help them transform, get a different result than they are experiencing right now. So sometimes you can't. That's just more than asking questions.
Yeah, that's powerful. Let's talk about you.
Okay.
What area of your business would you like better results?
That's a tough one because I'm pretty lucky. I mean, I get to do what I love and I love what I do. And after 20 plus years, our business is pretty strong. I guess the area for me is always, and this is something that a lot of coaches and consultants who are in a private practice kind of a situation, running their own shop, they all deal with is they like to do the work, but they don't like to do the marketing and the business development in order to create opportunities. And so while word of mouth is really strong for us, we've got some great raving fans. I think where I'd like better results is marketing the whole network of coaches that I'm associated with and create opportunities for some terrific coaches who just love doing the work.
What results are you most proud of?
One is 31 and one is 28. Courageous. My 31-year-old, courageous person. My 28-year-old, same thing. Very compassionate. Both of them. They're just better people than I am. They're compassionate. They're courageous. So those are the two things I'm the proudest of. Two people I'm really proud of. I'm also proud that after 20 some years, I'm still here and still doing this. And it just keeps getting better.
Yeah, I can tell that you love your work. It gets me excited to talk about it. So any parting thoughts that you would like to share with the results leaders who are listening to us right now?
Yeah. And this is in my new book, The Next Normal. And this is probably the through line in all of my writing and all of my work. And that is that intention is everything. That we need to be here and we need to be here now. That we can't fix the past. And we can only shape the future by being fully present in the here and now. And that takes energy, it takes focus, and it takes intention. And that is a lifelong journey, and it's a daily practice. There will be a next normal and a next and a next. And the question is going to be whether we create it or whether we just land in it.
Powerful. Well, thank you, Greg, for hanging with us. Thank you, results leaders, for tuning in. Before I let you go, though, I'm going to share links in the show notes, but why don't you tell us where we can pick up the book, where we can get more from you?
Thank you. Yeah, the book is The Next Normal, Transform Yourself, Your Leadership, Your Team. And it's available at Amazon. I'm proud we're at #1 in a bunch of categories on Amazon. So that's where you can get the book. You can find me at greggiuliano.com, and you can find out about our company at ultraleadership.com.
All the links will be in the show notes. Thank you, Greg, for chilling with us. And thank you for tuning in. Another results leader is in the can. That is a wrap for another edition of resultsleader.fm. If you are out there getting results for your clients and you want to be featured on the show, go to resultsleader.fm now and apply to be on the show. And if you love what you're hearing, share the show, give us a rating and review, do anything to help us get the message out there. Thought leadership is easy, but results leadership is hard. We'll catch you on the next one.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.